What's up, Sully? You got it on? Here, I got some snacks, man. All right. Whoa, what is this? What? No, we were gonna watch the... You're telling me you actually watched this? No. Come on, no. Give me that. We had a plan here, man. There we go. What? What's his deal? He's lost. I heard this show's actually supposed to be okay this year. Hey Monsters fans, welcome to the latest edition of Monsters OT, presented by the UH Drasinski Sports Medicine Institute, right here on Valley Sports Great Lakes. Tony Brown here with you. We'll hear from Brad Thiessen in just a second, but we've got a big show for you today. As always, in our headline segment, we're going to talk about Monsters opening weekend for the 22-23 season. A couple of big wins over a North Division rival. We'll discuss those games, and also, as part of our Labatt Blue interview, we're going to sit down with Monsters VP of Marketing and Communications, Ben Adams, to talk about the Cleveland Monsters Outdoor Classic at First Energy Stadium, an awesome event coming up this March. We'll also, of course, touch on our Monsters Memories segment and harken back to the last time the Monsters made the Calder Cup playoffs in 2018-19, and plenty more to get to as well. But as always, we start the show with headlines. So let's talk about opening weekend for the Cleveland Monsters on the 14th of October and the 15th of October. A couple of games against the Syracuse Crunch. We'll start with the home opener. 9,400 plus fans were at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse to watch a 6-5 win for the Monsters. And Brad Thiessen, boy, that started with a bang too. Less than 30 seconds into the season, Kirill Marchenko, a newcomer to Cleveland fans, he introduced himself to Northeast Ohio.
Yes, he did. He showed us off that lethal shot that he's got. Wasn't the first time he did it that weekend either, and great start to the season for the Monsters.
Yeah, a couple of multi-point performances in that game. Of course, Marchenko had a goal and an assist. Trey Fix-Wolanski had a couple of points. How about Marcus Bjork coming over from the Swedish Hockey League? The adjustment to the small ice, not a problem for him. Had 2 points, including a goal in that game. And it all came down to the shootout where Cole Fonstad played hero. But what stuck out to you, Brad, in that first game? Monsters built a first period lead, faced a little adversity, but they got the result.
Yeah, they did, and I think for me it was the two guys, Emil Benstrom, Kirill Marchenko, two guys who probably had their sights set on making the Blue Jackets at the beginning of the season. Were sent to Cleveland, and it didn't faze them one bit. They came here, made their mark, the great couple goals, and you notice with those guys, the puck wasn't on their stick for very long, and it's in the back of the net, and that's something the Monsters fans, I think, the last few years didn't have the goal scorers like that to see, and those guys made a difference this weekend.
Yeah, and it wasn't just them. Carson Meyer, the other part of that top line with Marchenko and Gons, found his way onto the score sheet as well. And so for the Monsters, just a great way to start the year. And after the game, Monsters head coach Trent Vogelhuber weighed in on his thoughts. Remember, this was his first game as Monsters head coach.
Yeah, it was fun. We've been waiting a long time to get back out there, the players, the coaches, everybody. So fun to be a part of it in front of a good crowd, and awesome to get that first win at home in our first game. Awesome to see some of the young and new guys step up and have an impact right away. The Marchenkos and the Bjork had a great goal there, and it was great. Everybody contributed, and like I said, we got the one more than they did, so we're happy.
Well, that's a happy guy right there. It's got to be a bit of a relief for him to get that first win out of the way in the first game there. But there were some adjustments, too, for the coaching staff. I mean, remember, these guys are working together for the first time as a unit, and I'm talking, of course, about Vogelhuber, Mike Haviland, the new associate coach, Mark Letestu running the forwards. He was running the D last year. So for the coaching staff, too, it takes a little while to get on the same page.
Yeah, it does, and I think everyone's trying to find their roles there and see what works, who's running the penalty kill, who's running the power play. There were some in-game situations like 6-on-5, 5-on-6, different things that happened this weekend that the coaches are working through as well with the team. So it was a good weekend for everyone to kind of feel where they're at.
So 6-5 win over Syracuse on Friday. You flash forward to Saturday, not Saturday night, but Saturday afternoon as the Monsters moved the start time of their second game of the year to 3 p.m. to accommodate the Cleveland Guardians game, which happened that night. What a dramatic game that was, too. But more of the same for the Monsters. It was a back-and-forth battle against Syracuse. The Crunch showing a lot of resolve, several lead changes in that one, but went to a shootout again. But one thing was the same from Friday to Saturday, Thiessen, and that was Marchenko and Bemstrom. They each had 2 goals, and Bemstrom had the game winner in the shootout, too.
Yep, those 2 guys showed up on the score sheet again. I think for the Monsters, being able to give up the lead late, but still come out with 2 points. I think sometimes in the past, those kind of go the other way for the Monsters. But this weekend, good showing of mental toughness for the team to come out with 2 big wins.
Oftentimes when you have an afternoon start after a night game, you see a different goaltender in that second game. But Jet Greaves was in there for both of those contests, and he spoke after Saturday's 5-4 win in a shootout about the first weekend of the season.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's always nice to start the season with 2 wins, and I think for us, we got a lot of new guys here, but I think we're really confident in the group we have, so I think it was 2 really good efforts, and we're happy to get the wins. I think it's definitely a little bit of a different energy. I think we got a lot of young guys, and I think our old guys are really good leaders for us, so I think it's a really good balance we have, and I think we're just kind of really excited about the group we have and feel like we can be a special team this year, so we're really excited about that.
Well, Thiessen, you're the goaltending coach here. Jet, I'm sure, maybe not the 2 best games of his career. However, 2 wins, and that's huge for the confidence in the early going.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's all that matters. It's 2 wins, and for Jet, one of the things that makes him who he is his confidence in himself. He's given up some goals in the game, but he makes the next save. In overtime, came up with some big saves on the PP, especially for Syracuse on Friday night, and then comes up 3 for 3 in the shootout on Saturday afternoon.
So Jet with a couple of victories there. The Monsters start the season 2-0 for just the 6th time in franchise history. In this, the 16th year of the Monsters franchise. The best ever start, Thiessen? 3-0, and that was in 2018-19, a season that we're going to talk about a little bit later in our Monsters Memories segment. So a great opening weekend for the Monsters. Let's not forget that the fans were a huge part of it. Again, 9,400 plus on opening night, and there is just no place these players would rather play in this league than in front of these fans at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse in Cleveland. With that, we're going to take our first break here on Monsters OT. That's it for headlines. Coming up, it's our Labatt Blue interview. We'll sit down with Monsters VP of Marketing and Communications, Ben Adams, to talk all about the Cleveland Monsters Outdoor Classic at First Energy Stadium. That's next on Monsters OT, presented by the UH Drasinski Sports Medicine Institute, only here on Valley Sports, Great Lakes. Monsters OT is presented in part by Labatt Blue. Welcome back, everyone, to Monsters OT. We're presented by the UH Drasinski Sports Medicine Institute. Happy to be with you again on Valley Sports Great Lakes. Happy to be joined now by Monsters VP of Marketing and Communications, Ben Adams. And Ben, no secret what you're here to talk about. It's the Cleveland Monsters Outdoor Classic at First Energy Stadium. A huge announcement for the team. It's going to take place on March the 4th at 1 p.m. So some time here to build up excitement for what's going to be a historic event, the first ever outdoor pro hockey game in Cleveland history. And I guess a good place to start, what I'm wondering is, how did this come to be? Because it's a great idea, and I know the fans are excited, but it has to get done. So how did that process unfold?
The stars aligned for us a bit. There's a game you might have heard about happening a couple weeks before ours at First Energy Stadium between Ohio State and Michigan. We were super excited to hear about that news, and we're going to can't wait to personally go to that event. But to play the first professional game in the city of Cleveland outdoors is going to be really special. We were able to work with Haslam Sports Group and the Browns to find some ice time there and kind of bookend this awesome 2 weeks they're going to have over at First Energy with the Monsters and the Penguins.
Well, we know, I know personally, I've heard from tons of fans that are already talking about this, already talking about how they've got their seats. But there is some time to build up towards this event here. What made this particular date so appealing? Because I know the Blue Jackets and the Pittsburgh Penguins, the 2 of NHL affiliates of the teams competing, aren't in action that day. So we're hoping that this is sort of a regional draw.
Yeah, and we're expecting that. I would challenge Clevelanders not to let the black and gold drown out our Cleveland fans at First Energy. But yeah, absolutely, it worked out great. There's no other professional hockey games in Pittsburgh, Columbus, or even Detroit for that matter. that weekend. So it's a great opportunity. We hope for people to visit Cleveland, maybe for the first time, come check out the Monsters in this awesome setting.
Now, of course, the AHL has had multiple outdoor games before, but not for a little while. And for the Monsters, it's not their first ever game they're competing in, but it's the first one that they're hosting that's outdoors. But really, this is history, and this is something that hockey fans are going to remember for generations.
Yeah, it's an amazing atmosphere. This is only the 11th time in the history of the AHL, which is an 87-year history, that this is even happening. So, these outdoor games are a relatively new phenomenon, but whenever they come about and you have the opportunity to host one, you absolutely have to do it. We're thinking about it like as if we were hosting the All-Star game, that level of event, but the truth of the matter is it's even more rare than that. So it's a really cool opportunity, and one that, professionally it's really great for us to be a part of, but for the fans, it's one of those things you're going to have to be there in person.
Yeah, for sure. Now, one of the signature things about outdoor games is kind of remembering hockey's roots, right? And going back to the pond and all of that good stuff. And part of that are uniforms. Can we maybe anticipate some specialty uniforms for this thing?
You can. I can't really break the news with the visual, but we are working on some uniforms. That is one of the cool things about these outdoor games. And so we look to maybe tie in a nod to some Cleveland hockey past, and our friends in Scranton Wilkes-Barre are doing the same. So it'll be cool to see out there on the ice. And anytime you get the black and gold in First Energy Stadium, it fires me up personally. So I think you'll get a little bit of that same effect when they come to town here.
Now, we've talked about this being a prestige event and really a huge deal. But what I love about this, Ben, is that you're keeping it affordable for the everyday hockey fan too. For this event, just like every Monsters game, tickets start at just $10. That's amazing.
Yeah, single game tickets start at $10. You can go to clevelandmonsters.com/outdoor to purchase those. Additionally, there's a number of other ways that you can grab tickets. One is our Outdoor Plus Pack. So that's going to come with a commemorative puck. You get any other game of the entire season at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, and then discounted tickets to the outdoor game. So you're getting 2 games and a souvenir, and so that's a great opportunity. We also have, of course, our Monsters Hockey Club memberships, and those folks are going to have their seats transferred over. Obviously, the sight lines are a little bit different at the stadium, but we're going to get everybody in a similar spot in terms of value, and so that's also another way you can grab those tickets.
Now, we're going to have to take this show on the road, right? I mean, it's a big lift to get everything that goes into a Monsters hockey game all the way down 9th and down to the shores of Lake Erie here. But what can fans expect, Ben, in terms of the show at the Outdoor Classic? I mean, because that's something that is a signature for the Monsters when they're playing here at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse, the entertainment value of the experience once you're at the game.
Yeah, it's going to be different. You're going to want to bundle up, but our goal is to take this awesome experience that you get at the Fieldhouse over to the First Energy Stadium, but also it opens up a lot of different opportunities for us. The pageantry and the teams walking out through the tunnels. We're going to get to use the Browns locker room. And so we're still going to have the Monster Head. There's still going to be Zambonis, but it'll be a little bit different. We're still figuring out all of the fun toys that we have to play with over there at First Energy.
I would imagine lots of merchandise opportunities, right, for the fans too. What can they expect there?
Absolutely. So, we're working on the details there. I would imagine the jerseys will factor into this as well, but we definitely want to make sure that people have a chance to leave with some awesome gear, because it's one of those things you're going to want to take a souvenir home from.
And I think Thiessen was telling me that we've already negotiated the broadcast team gets taken care of there. Is that right?
There will be some swag, I'm sure, for everybody.
Okay, well, that's a relief. That is Ben Adams. He is the Monsters VP of Marketing and Communications. Ben, thanks for being here. Can't wait for this event. And again, guys, if you don't have your tickets yet, don't waste any time. Go to clevelandmonsters.com/outdoor and secure your seats today for the historic Cleveland Monsters Outdoor Classic at First Energy Stadium on March the 4th at 1 p.m. Ben, thanks again, man. Can't wait for this, honestly, once-in-a-lifetime event.
Thanks, Tony. It's going to be awesome.
All right. Well, that is Ben Adams. We will take a break here on Monsters OT, but when we come back, plenty more show. We're going to unveil the Monsters captains for the 22-23 season, and then we'll take a walk down memory lane with our Monsters Memories segment, throwing it back to Cleveland's last playoff appearance. All that and more coming up next on Monsters OT, presented by the UH Drasinski Sports Medicine Institute on Valley Sports Great Lakes.
the fourth round, the Monsters win the game. Grabs the puck in center, attacking right to left. Hits the blue line, slows his pace. Waits, fires, he scores! Bonstead writes a happy ending for Cleveland on opening night. It's a 6-5 shootout win for the Monsters. And the tone has been set for the 2022-23 season. The Monsters to victory lane for the first time this year. And it's Bonstead in the shootout playing hero. Now top of the circle, straight ahead, fires, Patsy Greaves! And now the Monsters are on the cusp. The shootout, grabs the puck at center, attacking right to left, hits the blue line. Top of the circles in the slot, Risser, he scores! Along the ice, Bemstrom goes low glove, and after one round of the shootout, the Monsters lead at 1-0. Monsters win, so the game on Jet Green's shoulders. Here he comes, attacking into the circles. He missed the net wide on the backhand, and the Monsters have won the game. Jet Greaves blanks all three Syracuse shooters, and the Monsters prevail in a shootout. Their final score, Cleveland 5 and the Syracuse Crunch 4. The Monsters sweep Syracuse on opening weekend, and while it took a shootout, 4 points, just what the doctor ordered for Cleveland. 6-5 last night, 5-4 tonight. This time it was about goaltending in the shootout. And the Monsters are 2-0 on the season as they prepare for what's going to be a long and winding road trip.
Back on Monsters OT, presented by the UH Drasinski Sports Medicine Institute here on Valley Sports Great Lakes. Back with Brad Thiessen. Brad, let's talk captains now. It's a big question mark at the beginning of every season. Who's going to wear the letters for your favorite hockey team? And for the Monsters, we have that answer now, as it's not necessarily a surprising answer. Who's going to be the captain? Dylan Simpson back in that role yet again. He has meant so much to the team during his time in Cleveland, and that continues this year, but in a slightly different role. We'll also highlight the assistant captains here as Brendan Gaunce, forward, Billy Sweezy, and Gavin Bayreuther are on defense, all wearing A's at different times this season. But it starts with Simpson, and, you know, this guy does it all. He does whatever his team needs, and this year, that means playing multiple positions.
Yeah, he's one of the better forwards some nights, and if we need him on defense, he's ready to go back there too. So just a kind of a Swiss Army knife for Coach Vogelhuber, and just a guy who's, you know, he's all about the team.
Yeah, and it's crazy. I mean, you know, on opening weekend, you would see him take a few shifts as a forward. Then he's killing a penalty all of a sudden on defense. I would imagine as a player, that's a real challenge to be able to absorb all of the systematic responsibilities you have and then to switch in between those roles just on the fly.
Yeah, it is, and there's a reason that he's able to do that. He's a smart guy. You know, he's been around the league for a number of years now, and he's, you know, he takes everything in. He listens to what's going on with the forwards, what's going on with the defense, and he can go back and forth and not miss a beat.
Let's stick with the defense for a minute and talk about first Billy Sweezy. Here's a player that signed his first NHL deal in the midst of last season, and in his second year with Cleveland, third year in the American League, he's established himself as an important player on the back end. He brings that physical dimension, but he's become a genuine leader kind of organically.
He really has, and he has that gift. He's, you know, he's always bringing the energy. Someone who's, you know, he's on the bench, he's talking, he's getting guys up, he's pumping them up, and you know, no matter what's going on in the game, he's the one who's everyone's looking to bring that energy, and someone that's a real important part of the team.
And on the other side, in terms of the assistants in the defensive core, it is Gavin Bayreuther. Now, he missed opening weekend, serving a suspension from like literally one calendar year ago, but he will be in the lineup, presumably in the Monsters' upcoming road trip here. An important player, plays with a lot of grit and a lot of NHL experience there, so excited to see what he brings.
Yeah, and you see with all these guys, they have, you know, there's a reason that you have this veteran core in the American Hockey League, because they're trying to help the younger players out. They've been there, they've done that. They're trying to teach these younger kids how to be pros, and Gavin's really good at doing that. He's been in the NHL, he's been in the American Hockey League, and someone who does things the right way.
Well, let's not forget about Brendan Gaunce, too, in the forward group. Tease, this is the #1 center on this team right now, or at least at the start of the year, playing between Marchenko and Meyer, and a constant source of offense. Former first-round draft pick once upon a time, a lot of NHL experience, and he is such a great resource, too, for these young players.
He really is. He spent a lot of time last year with the Blue Jackets, you know, bringing that experience down here with the Monsters and be able to relay that to some of the younger players. he's going to be counted on to be a big part of the team here this season.
Yeah, excited to see what all of these guys do throughout the year, and I know they're all, just in talking to them, very honored to be recognized in this way by their coaching staff, their teammates, and honored to wear a letter, as any player is, in any given season. All right, we'll take a quick break here on Monsters OT. When we come back, we will take a look back at Cleveland's last postseason appearance with our Monsters Memories segment. It's Monsters OT, presented by UH Drasinski Sports Medicine Institute here on Bally Sports, Great Lakes. Welcome back one last time here on Monsters OT, presented by the UH Drasinski Sports Medicine Institute here on Bally Sports, Great Lakes. Tony Brown, Brad Thiessen back with you. Let's wrap it up with our Monsters Memories segment. And Thies, with the optimism riding high at the start of the year, I thought it would be fun to look back at the last time the Monsters qualified for the Calder Cup playoffs. And you remember this, you were there in net for the Monsters back in 2018-19. Under head coach John Madden, the Monsters snuck into the playoffs that year and surprised the Syracuse Crunch in the first round. That was the time that Liam Foudy made his Monsters debut, joining the team in the postseason, and that was a fun series. I remember that pretty vividly.
It really was, and I think going back, just getting into the playoffs, the kind of the run that we went on at the end of the season, clinching the spot on the last day of the year, winning a game against Toronto, and then going up against Syracuse in the first round, being able to take them down was one of my memorable hockey experiences for sure. Yeah,
it was awesome. Monsters won that series 3-1, and the reward for that, a date with the always tough Toronto Marlies in the second round. Now, Trey Fix-Wolanski made his Monsters debut during that series, but unfortunately sorry to bring it up, 4-0 series sweep at the hands of the Marlies. But, that playoff feeling, it's something that every player wants when the season ends, but at the start of the year, you allow yourself to dream a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's something that every player wants to be a part of, that playoff experience and playing those important games that really mean something. So, those are some of my favorite memories of playing hockey is in the playoffs when the games are, at their most important. So hopefully these guys get to experience that this season as well.
One way to find out, we won't know for some time. It's 2 games into a 72-game campaign, but hey, 4 points in the standings so far. So good. Well, that'll do it for our Monsters Memories, and hey, that'll do it for another edition of Monsters OT. We've got a lot of thank yous to hand out, of course, to my co-host Brad Thiessen. Our guest today, courtesy of Labatt Blue, Ben Adams, the VP of Marketing and Communications for the Monsters. Appreciate his taking the time. Huge thanks to Leo Simone, to Jeremy Hawks, to everybody on our spectacular crew that gets us on the air each and every episode. Appreciate you guys so very much. Until next time, I'm Tony Brown saying thanks for watching. This has been Monsters OT, presented by the UH Drasinski Sports Medicine Institute, right here on Bally Sports, Great Lakes. So long, everybody.